The A7C II was just released, and I'm not seeing a lot of people discuss the three main cameras in Sony's lineup that are in the $2,000 to $2,500 price point. And there is a specific reason that I want to talk about this, because as I was working through my notes, I sort of realized that the results surprised me, and I was trying to come up with a recommendation of what is the best camera in that price range for the different types of content creators out there in their respective categories, like photographers, hybrid shooters, videographers, filmmakers, etc. So those main categories, like what is the recommendation that I would give to those different types of creators? And I was surprised at the results, because there was not one specific camera on this list that trumped the other cameras in every category, right? So there were some different camera recommendations based on the different needs, which you might think would make sense, but these cameras are very similar in a lot of regards. So I was trying to figure out, okay, what is the best for my YouTube listener, my YouTube audience? So we're going to talk about that in today's video. First, let's look at the camera options that we have in that price range, right? We have first, the cheapest camera on the list would be the Sony FX30, which body only actually comes in under $2,000, closer to $1,800 for the body only. The moment that you purchase the top handle, which brings that price point, it's like a $400 top handle. So it brings that price point to closer to $2,200 when you're all in, okay? And I'd really recommend not purchasing the FX30 without the top handle unless you already have a top handle because you have an FX3 or something, right? So make sure you get that top handle. That's $2,200. I actually did a full review of the Sony FX30 on my YouTube channel, and I love that camera. I think it's a great camera for a lot of reasons. It is the same body style, the exact same body style as the Sony FX3, which I am currently using right now to film this video. I love this camera style, this body style. It's actually my favorite Sony camera to date as far as ergonomics are concerned. I really do like the FX6 as well, but it is just a little bit too bulky and too large for most situations that I would find myself in as far as like an all-day shoot. I don't really want to lug that thing around all day. The one main drawback that you'll see in that review is the crop sensor is just not great in low light situations, right? So if you're someone who likes to shoot in S-Log3, if you go beyond 2500 ISO and S-Log3, it begins to fall apart in low light situations, okay? So make sure that if you're shooting in S-Log3 on the FX30 beyond 2500 ISO, you can swap that actually to Cinetone right around 4000 ISO to get better results in low light situations. Okay, so that's a little hack for you. Okay, the next camera on our list would be the Sony A7Cii II, which it just has to come in below the price point of the Sony A7IV. So probably around $2,200 will be the price of the A7Cii II. We'll see here in just a couple days when that price point is announced. What you're going to get is the A7 IV sensor with some moderate improvements that we saw in some of these more updated cameras like the Sony ZV-E1, the Sony A6700, etc. They have a few of these different improvements that the A7 IV, since it's a little bit older in Sony's lineup, it's not even that old, it's like a year old, but it's a little bit older enough to not have some of the very slight improvements that some of these other camera bodies have had. So the A7C II is going to have that. And then at the top of that price range would be the Sony A7 IV, which is $2,500 new. But you can get this pretty easily for closer to $2,300 or even $2,200 used in like new conditions. So I know sometimes it gets frustrating when you're trying to figure out a price point. You're comparing like a new camera body to a used camera body. But the truth of the matter is camera bodies get replaced very quickly by new and improved camera bodies. So the A7 IV, it's crazy that we're already talking about the replacements for the A7 IV and these being potential replacements, but the A7 IV is old enough where you can buy a reliable used body on the used camera market, and you can do that pretty efficiently and save yourself some coin. The problem with the FX30 and the A7Cii II is going to be that they're newer cameras. People don't really sell the FX30 and the FX3 as much because they bought that as a dedicated video camera. And then the A7Cii II is so new that you cannot pick up a used A7Cii II right now. So that price point is going to be locked in around that $2,200 price point or whatever it comes out as. Okay, that's just a brief overview of what is available to you. Now, getting to my recommendations, okay? This is where the results surprise me, right? So first, let's look at if you're a photographer. You're a dedicated photographer, you take family photos, you do weddings, you do professional portrait work, maybe you're a landscape photographer, a nature photographer, whatever the case, if you take photos, I think there's a clear winner here in this price point. And that would be this camera right here, the Sony A7IV. I love this camera. It's by far the best design for taking photos. You get the traditional A7 style body that most of the A7 line has, like the A7S, the A7R, and the A7s. Now the A7C is that compact style body, so it's a little bit different. You also get an awesome viewfinder that has much better eye relief if you're looking through the viewfinder. The A7Cii is a really compact viewfinder that they squeezed into that small camera body, and it's just not the best for dedicated photography use. And I really think that it's a no-brainer to go with the A7IV if you are specifically a photographer. Also, the 2 SD card slots are a big thing for me. I shoot weddings. I mostly do wedding films, but my company also still does wedding photography services when we do combo packages, especially photo and video. I need that 2 SD card slots because I'm shooting sometimes 1,000, 2,000 images at any given time. And with that 33 megapixel sensor shooting an uncompressed RAW, you're very quickly going to get through those 128 or 256 gigabyte memory cards. So you need to have that ability to transfer cards very quickly and roll over. I don't want to have to say, hey, pause just a second. I'm going to switch SD cards, pop a new one in. I need the ability for it to automatically flow into the next SD card in that second card slot. Okay, so that's for photographers, A7IV all the way. If you are a videographer, I think the clear answer is going to be the FX30 with the audio handle. That's going to be the clear choice, the clear winner. It's just such a great body design. It's my favorite body design of any Sony Alpha series camera to date. You get 2 XLR inputs on the body, which is just incredible. And you also get a boom mic holder, which is really helpful if you want to just mount a boom mic directly to the camera. You get both of those with that top handle, okay? You also get 4K 120 frames per second, which neither the A7C II or the A7IV have access to 4K 120 at the time of recording this video. You also get tally lights, which I'm actually using right now. I can see that my camera is recording, and I have a nice little monitor off to the side here as well. But on my FX3 that's facing me right now, I can see that there's a red indicator tally light pointing at me, indicating that that actually is recording. I love tally light functionality on cameras, and you get that with the FX30 as well. And really, it's a cinema style camera. It's a cinema package. The FX30 is just a part of the cinema line of Sony Alpha cameras, right? FX9, FX6, FX3, FX30, right? It's these cinema style packages that Sony dedicated for you filmmakers out there. So this really is the best option for video. Okay, and the final category is the hybrid shooter. And I was actually surprised at my choice for this one. And if you are a hybrid shooter, and this means you truly do a ton of video work and a ton of photo work, about 50-50, maybe 60-40, one just a little bit more than the other. If you're a hybrid shooter, I think today, fall of 2023, this is August, coming into September 2023, the A7C II is your best choice for hybrid shooters. The reason I chose the A7C II over the A7IV is specifically for some of its marginal improvements, things like the new AI processing chip. Also, you get better USB-C streaming performance. It allows you to shoot 4K up to, I believe, 30 frames a second via USB-C streaming. The A7IV, I think, was tapped out at 1080p at 60 FPS, or you could do a weird like 4K at 15 frames a second, which is ridiculous. Nobody would ever use that. And so the reason I chose it as the hybrid shooter winner is because the FX30 just isn't good at photos, so that scratches it off the table immediately. So with the A7IV and the A7C II, I think the A7C II edges out the A7IV as far as a few video enhancements, and that brings it just a little bit higher for me in terms of its hybrid nature, because it unlocks a few key things with the AI enhancements, the 4K capability for streaming, and then you also just take amazing photos with that camera. It's got great autofocus. Yeah, the viewfinder's a little funky with it being off to one side. I don't love that functionality, but I can get by with it. It's okay. It's going to take amazing photos. It's going to take amazing video. This camera is going to be an amazing hybrid shooter, and it's also going to enter at a little bit of a lower price point. So this is going to be the budget hybrid shooter's dream camera. Truly, if you don't have a camera in 2023 right now, I'd be looking at the Sony A7C II all the way if you really do photo and video work professionally. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content about Sony Alpha cameras on this channel. I actually have a ton already, so I'll link a few right here on the screen for you to check out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Much love.